Penn State hired former Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley as their assistant quarterbacks coach. Now, I don't know if you have too much insight to this at all, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on former Penn State quarterback returning as an assistant quarterback coach.
Well, it's funny. I've been on record talking about the fact that like Penn State has never had a truly elite quarterback. Like they've always had good quarterbacks, ones that have went into the league. None of them have really ever been that great.
Right.
McSorley was a great quarterback at Penn State. He didn't really translate much to the NFL. But again, I mean, these are the kind of people you hire to be coaches, guys who have the experience. He's obviously a guy who can teach younger people a lot. I know they also have made some other coaching moves recently. Anything I think they can do to improve the quarterback position. Look, I like Drew Aller. I think Drew Aller has a lot of work to still do. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of what college teams do. They hire guys called graduate assistants a lot of the time in basketball, where players that played there, they have the experience, have went to the playoffs or went to an NCAA tournament. Those are big, and a lot of the younger kids, they relate to them because they're 4 or 5 years older. So
right.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think it'll help them. Look, generally, this, if you can't make it to the next level, you generally are going to go into coaching or media, and I'm sure he'll be a great coach.
Absolutely. And we saw McSorley working with Drew Aller last season for Penn State. Now, I got to ask you about Penn State last season. I thought they had a great path in the college football playoff, and they got stopped short. What are your thoughts on Penn State's so-called collapse at the end in the college football playoff last season?
Well, I think really it came down to a really bad decision by Aller in that final game. He made a throw that you just can't make. And it was the difference really in whether they moved on or didn't move on. It can't happen. I believed he should have came back. He needs to come back. And I think he will be one of the, on paper, one of the better quarterbacks going into next season. But,
sure.
Again, this is kind of what they are, a quarterback. They a lot of the time have a solid, good quarterback, but never a truly elite quarterback. They don't get the high level guys. They get good quarterbacks. Can Aller take the step and be a Heisman Trophy winner? I don't think.
Yeah, we'll see. Aller will have McSorley as his quarterback coach going into next season. But I got to ask you about Penn State's coach, James Franklin. How do you feel about James Franklin after another loss in a big-time game? And how do you feel about Penn State going into next year with Aller? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to replace a lot. Obviously, Abdul Carter's gone. I mean, Abdul Carter took over games last year at defensive end for them. And I think, the sad part about Penn State is they have become just, in college football, there's really only several teams that win, and they are not one of those teams. They're just a mediocre, good team each year, and they have accepted that mediocrity. Are they a team that's going to win 10, 11 games each year? Yeah. Are they going to get to the college football playoff? Yeah. But remember, they got to the college football playoff when it was 12 teams, right? Not 4. They're always good, but not good enough. And I think they've accepted that. Is it where I'd want to be? No. I would want to be the contender to win it every season. They're a contender that, maybe can win it, but do we ever actually think they can? No. They've never won a big game. He's never won a big game. And yes, he's 101-42 as the coach there. But, when you look back and say, what has he actually won in terms of something big? It's largely been elusive. So would I have brought him back? Probably not. But, again, I am a guy who, like, as an Eagle fan, I expect them to be a Super Bowl contender every year.
Right.
I guess in Happy Valley, I think they had obviously a lot of things that went on over the last 15 years with, kind of how the Paterno stuff ended. And I just think the one thing about James that they give a lot of credit to is he is a good ambassador to the university. He's obviously done a lot for taking them out of where they were. And I think that means a lot more to them maybe than just it should. I will respect that, though, because, again, like most teams, just about can you win? We don't care what you do off the field as long as you win. And
right.
I do have some respect for that at one level, but has he ever won the big game? No. Will he ever? I don't know.
I don't know. And it's going to be tough with them. I mean, now you have the 12 team probably going to 14, 16 at some point playoff. But Penn State's even in the 12 team never got over the hump. And I thought they had the easiest path,
They did. You're 100% right. And you mentioned 16 teams. I really hope that doesn't happen. I would really like for it to just, I thought 12 was probably too many. Again, we have to accept what it is. Maybe we just keep it at 12 and just accept it that that's what it's going to be.
Why do you say that?
Because I think we're again rewarding mediocrity. I liked 4, right? The 4 best teams. That said, I'm a gambler. I like more games. I mean, we had more games to bet on this season, and we did see really cool stories, like an Arizona State or like a Boise. But I think all in all, like a lot of the games were particularly early, not great. But I'm never going to complain about more games, I guess.
Yeah, I think that the first round of the playoff with this new format was kind of I don't know, snooze fest, so to say. A lot of blowouts, a lot of cold weather games, kind of because they're playing at Penn State, out other places. I thought the first round was kind of a blur, and then you kind of started seeing some better football as you got in the later rounds. But this is what the NCAA wanted. I don't sit here and really complain about or harp on it too much. I think this is a new era of college football, transfer portal, NIL, so much movement, so much is different compared to when I was coming out 4 years ago and 10 years ago going back. So I don't have too much of a knock on it. If they decide to go to 14 or 16, which is what Joel Klatt said on Matt and I's show a few months ago, which I think they will, so be it. I think we'll figure it out, but I think you'll see some slower, interesting games in the earlier rounds.
One other point I do worry about with Penn State going forward, especially Drew Aller. I mean, how do they replace Tyler Warren, who's going to the NFL? We saw Carson Beck take a major step back once he lost Brock Bowers. Yeah. So, I mean, Tyler Warren was the best tight end in the country last year. He was huge for them at big spots. They still have Katron Allen, Nick Singleton at running back, but that receiver core wasn't great. Warren was really that valve, around the goal line or really at any part in the field. So, they're going to have to find a way to figure that out too.
Absolutely.